Today, I want to really talk about when tax planning actually matters or where it makes sense. If any one of you listening to me today have ever heard of the cash flow quadrant, that was something that was made famous by Robert Kiyosaki. If you look at the cash flow quadrant, you are going to find the quadrant have every taxpayer in four different buckets. The first bucket is what he called the employees. And then the second bucket is what he called small business owners. The third is what he called big businesses. And the last is what he called the infinite investors. Now, typically, I would say if you are just a W 2 wage earner that is grossing no more than 100,000 or 150,000, to be honest, there aren't too many things out there that you could do when it comes to tax planning. Tax planning is not for you. Okay. So I don't want to waste your time and having you come on a discovery call with us. Okay. The tax code is not written for people like that. Tax planning is therefore not for everyone. Tax planning, particularly, is for people who are small business owners, big business owners, and what we call the infinite investors. Again, that is why I constantly say to people who come before us, you got to be an investor. You got to be doing something or trying to make money in some other ways besides just having a 9 to 5 job. Now, if you are a very big wage earner making anywhere from 500,000, $1 million, like what is very common with my Silicon Valley clients, then there are roadmaps for you to be able to do tax planning. But other than people in that category, primarily tax planning is an awesome way to grow your wealth, to help you get to financial freedom faster. Because what taxes are a drag on your wealth. I typically say to my listeners that if you are not doing tax planning, what is really happening is you have allowed yourself to be imposed into a tax jail for like 13 to 18 years. And what do I mean by that? Typically, when you are not doing tax planning, what that really means is that at least 2 hours and 38 minutes of every of your average 8 hours of work every day is being given to the tax man. Every income you earn for almost 3 hours of your working day for the next 13 to 18 years belongs to the tax guy. So I call it a tax jail. And unfortunately, for most people, that is a self imposed jail that the government did not put you. You choose to put yourself into that because you have chosen not to do what you need to do. Get yourself a good tax advisor, get well educated instead of saying your tax guy takes care about that, and understand how to truly use the tax code for your benefit. So now let's begin to break down what all of this means. There are situations, like I already said, tax planning is not for you. Now, typically, I say to clients who come to me by the fourth quarter of the year that they are already cutting it too close when it comes to planning. And that's why I'm putting out a lot of our episodes now, because tax planning is not a shotgun approach. It's a marathon thing. It's something you are constantly and consistently working in a very collaborative manner with your tax advisor. So I always encourage people to try to get on board as soon as possible. Most times, people just procrastinate for no reason other than they feel a sense of discomfort changing from the guy, their uncle who has been preparing their taxes for a long time. In fact, I had a very funny situation yesterday. I was talking with a prospective surgeon. He's an oncologist. And as I asked the question, I kept asking him, who prepares his taxes? And guess what he told me? He said his taxes are being prepared by one of his business class professors who was not really a tax preparer, but because he liked the guy taught him business administration. He literally begged the guy to be preparing his taxes. And this sojourn is now about 52 years. And he told me that this professor has been preparing his taxes for the last 15 years or thereabout. In fact, it was the professor himself that told him, look, you're now making almost $1 million. You should be talking to a professional, not me just doing your taxes. That was how somebody sent him away. So it's always a very funny thing how we get comfortable with people who do some services for us. We feel a sense of attachment, loyalty, emotional attachment to them, and we think we shouldn't change. Now, nobody should care about your money more than you. Okay, so it's very important to understand that what you get out of tax planning is you put yourself in a position to use the rules of the game to get to your better place, to get to your place of financial freedom. I mean, I am a big proponent of financial freedom. I believe that we all should not allow ourselves to constantly just stay in the grind. If you choose to continue to work up to whatever time you choose to, that should be from a place of option. Now, what does tax planning do? It allows you the opportunity to be in a position to make that option of who you choose to work with, when you choose to work, and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So, anyone listening to us today, I want to say tax planning is not for everyone. But again, if you are making you have a situation where your tax exposure, at least at the federal level, it's over 75, 100,000. You should be seeking out a good tax advisor immediately. There is no better time to start than now. Now, because we are just beginning a new year, I know many of you are going to feel the pain of having to write that big check that you really don't want to write to the Internal Revenue Service and your state agency if you live in a state that has taxes. Now is the time to put yourself in a good position where that will not have to happen again in the coming year. All right. Now, if you are considering wanting to speak with us, have at least your last 2 years tax return ready with you. If you are a business owner, have both your business tax return and your personal tax return open, because I would like to go through and be able to ask you some questions on some specific line on those tax returns. Now, if you want to get in touch with us, do so